sure a speaker to it. All the speakers have a little time involved, so we're going to be timing. What?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mark, for letting me, for the second month in a row, speak to my second family here at Kings Point. There are some interesting things going on in the county, and the truth is that you won't hear a lot about what's really going on if you read the papers. As someone who's been in the paper a lot lately, I can tell you that they sort of tell you what they want you to hear, maybe not what you should hear. And they clearly only have enough space to tell the story that they want to tell. So yesterday, the county had a, I think, very banner day, both last week and yesterday, where we did some really historic things in Broward County for the first time. Last week, we unanimously passed ethics reform in the county, which will change the way business is done in Broward County. I think that's a very positive thing. We banned gifts, we banned food and drink, we have to do quarterly financial disclosures instead of what the state requires, which is yearly financial disclosures. If we speak to someone on the telephone who does business with Broward County, we have to disclose that as well every quarter, rather than what we usually do is if you come into the office, you have to sign in. That's a county ordinance. Clearly my calendar is public record under the Sunshine Law, but if people call me on my cell phone, nobody really knew who I was talking to. So I think these are really positive ethics reforms that were put together by the Ethics Commission, which we all voted for several years ago, and which the County Commission populated. We actually staffed it with our appointees. There were, I think, 9 of them, 18, I don't remember. Anyway, they presented their report to us, and we accepted it unanimously last week. Within that report was something called an Inspector General, the establishment of an Office of Inspector General, which Palm Beach County has and Miami-Dade County has, the federal government has an OIG, the state government has something like an Inspector General, but we didn't have one in Broward County, and we really needed one. The papers are full of bad news, because that's all you'll read about in the paper. But it was time for some serious reform in Broward County. So the Ethics Commission put together an Office of Inspector General, which only dealt with the 9 county commissioners, because their charge in the charter was they could only deal with the county commission. They couldn't deal with staff, they couldn't deal with board members, and there are thousands of people who work for Broward County. So back in March, I had sat down with the county attorney, actually during the legislative session, when the legislature was starting to file a bill for an Inspector General for Broward County government. I sat down with the county attorney and I said, we need to do this here in Broward ourselves. We need to put it on the ballot, let the voters decide if they want to put in the charter an Office of Inspector General. I've been working on this for about 6 months. In the meantime, the Ethics Commission was meeting, and they were talking about it as well. Well, yesterday, we actually passed a ballot proposal, which you all will see in November, to establish an Office of Inspector General in Broward County for Broward County Commissioners, for our staff, for people who are on our boards, and for municipal elected officials and their staff as well. Paid for by the county. Won't impact the cities one bit. There won't be a dime spent by the cities. I think it's a really positive thing. First of all, despite what you read in the paper, this actually strengthens what was done by the Ethics Commission, doesn't weaken it, because it's in the charter. The people vote on the charter. We get to decide what's in our charter, and it's stronger, it's harder to change because it has to go on the ballot. For the Ethics Commission to criticize what the County Commission is doing, which is what the Ethics Commission is doing, they're criticizing us, saying we weakened it, we're actually strengthening it. Because quite frankly, with 5 votes, we could change what the Ethics Commission did because it's simply an ordinance. This way, we need a majority of Broward County voters to change it. Second of all, it doesn't just include the county commissioners. It includes our staff and our board appointments and city elected officials and staff as well. That's important because honestly, there have been more city elected officials that have been arrested than county commissioners that have been arrested. And I think that the faith in government in general at the local level is at a low point, and everybody needs to say, yes, we want to be inspected. We want to be investigated by an Inspector General. That's the second thing. The third thing that we did in this, and I hope you will all support it in November because I think it's a really positive thing. The third thing that we did was, we allowed the Inspector General to initiate complaints on his or her own. So that you don't have to file a complaint against an elected official to have an investigation done. But what we're not going to allow is anonymous complaints. We're not going to allow somebody to write a letter and send it into the Inspector General with no address and no name and say, you need to investigate Commissioner X because I know she's corrupt. You're not going to be able to clip a newspaper article that you read and attach it to a letter anonymously and say, I read this and I know he's corrupt and you need to investigate. If you want a commissioner or a staff person or a board person investigated, you're going to have to file a complaint with your name on it. However, the Inspector General can read an article in the newspaper and determine that an investigation needs to be initiated. The Inspector General can overhear a conversation in a restaurant or a bar about an elected official and determine that an investigation needs to be initiated based on what he or she heard in a bar. It is completely up to the Inspector General. And in practice, somebody could call the Inspector General and not give their name or phone number. And if the Inspector General decided that that was enough to initiate an investigation, that would happen as well. So while we can't anonymously file complaints, the Inspector General can do whatever he or she wants to do based on good cause as defined by the Inspector General, not the County Commission. Finally, and there are other things which I hope we'll be able to go through. I'm going to put it in my newsletter for this month. Finally, the County Commission does not pick the Inspector General. It is completely independent. A panel of 5 people, the state attorney or his appointment, the public defender or his appointment, League of Cities will have an appointment. There are 2 others that have nothing to do with Broward County, nothing to do with Broward County government. They will review applications, interview candidates, and choose the Inspector General. If the Inspector General is removed from office because of something he or she did that was bad, which by the way is happening in Miami right now, where the Inspector General has been accused of doing some things by some members of the police force. So the Inspector General is now under investigation in Miami. That if the Inspector General is removed, then the committee reconvenes and picks a new one. The county has nothing to do with it. And we feel that that's the right thing to do because we're the ones that will be investigated along with other municipal officials. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I think this is an incredibly positive step for Broward County, and hopefully will go a long way to restore some of the confidence that has been lost, the faith that the public no longer unfortunately has in local government. And I hope that you'll all support it and ask me questions as we go through the next 4 months. Finally, we got to get through next Tuesday first. So let's get through next Tuesday first, and then we'll focus on November. And I hope that as we go through this, you will ask me questions about it. And as always, if you have any questions about anything that I do, professionally or personally, I hope that you will ask me. I am, quite frankly, at the tender age of 50, sick and tired of reading rumors about what I do and do not do. I am sick and tired of the innuendo that I read in certain publications about what I do and what I do not do. And I would much rather answer your questions either privately or here today than have you believe what is rumor and innuendo. Because unfortunately these days, it seems that the only thing that sells papers is rumor and innuendo. As always, thank you so much for the privilege of letting me represent you, first at the legislature and now at the County Commission. Thank you very much, and I guess I'll see you